And for me, it matches a lot of my entry criteria. Price push all the way to the top, it broke structure, leaving an imbalance behind. There is a purge of liquidity thing, and you have the confidence to trade, but you're not disciplined. As soon as you start seeing the rewards and your benefits, you start scaling. Welcome back to another YouTube video, FlareFX, where we make trading very simple. It's yet another week, yet another dollar, guys. As you guys can see by the title, we are doing NASDAQ, gold and German 30 this week, so stay tuned into the end. You guys already know it's jam-packed full, and at the end I do add a psychology tip, so watch till the end, my brother. All right, so this is my Discord, guys. It's my free Discord. This is where everybody comes in, shares their signals, shares their setups, right? Like I said, end of the month, guys, I will be giving away 2 free spots, right? So to remember, one spot is for posting your entry, and then 2 spots is for helping another member, right? It's going crazy. I think we're relatively about like 135 members, guys. Let's keep it going. It's always beautiful to see the community growing, right? But nonetheless, let's get into it. All right, so this is NASDAQ on the 4-hour time frame, guys. We'll start with NASDAQ as usual. But now, guys, one thing I did want to mention is that I'm sure all of you guys are going through this as well. I don't know the guys who are really making the profits, but since it's the 3rd quarter and the 4th quarter, it's been so tricky, especially for the indices and all the other pairs, like especially since end of August, starting September, guys. The markets have been so choppy. But for me, I am looking at something very nice for NASDAQ this week. Upcoming week, hopefully it does tap us in, right? So now let me see if I can switch on this, right, and then start my stuff, right? So in terms of NASDAQ, right, we can just look at it from the 4-hour time frame, understanding its market direction. We'll even start on the daily for the guys who are new, right? Bingo bango, there you go. So from the daily time frame, just to break it down, price pushed all the way to the top over here, right, making this high, pushing all the way to the downside, making this low, and then further pushing higher and higher, right? As we can see over here, right, we can see that NASDAQ has already broken this high, right? I'll even come and classify it as this, right? And it broke and closed above it, right? So for me, that's looking really nice, and it is on the what? On the daily time frame. We'll even classify this as a change of character, or we can say a change of character happened on the lower time frame. But just for reference, we understand that the trend has changed now, right? Because it broke this high and it closed above it, right? So now when you go over to the 4-hour time frame, bingo bango, looking at this, we can see that, okay, cool, NASDAQ has made this low and pushed all the way to the top over here, making this high, right? So now for me, I am anticipating like a retracement, right? And me knowing NASDAQ and the way it moves, right, we can anticipate it to slowly come back down, maybe to finish filling out this imbalance over here, right? And either or, anything could happen, especially with NASDAQ, guys, because of the way it's moving. But I am going to be patient with it, right? If I come with my Fibonacci retracement tool, like from here all the way to the top over here, and then adjusting it to indices, right? So this is basically where I look into executing, right? And a lot of the setups I do send you guys, or I do analyze, are on the 4-hour time frame, guys. And this is mainly because I'm more so a swing trader right now, right? And I also understand the intraday setups are more for like the team or the paid clients, right? So for you guys, I try to give you guys the overall direction and let you guys kind of figure out how to execute, right? So if you know that NASDAQ might come back and retrace, you could be looking for potential sales. But now with the way the market's been moving, guys, I wouldn't be surprised if NASDAQ keeps on soaring higher and higher, and if it does decide to keep on going lower and lower just to respect the zone and push up, that would be so beautiful and so nice to see, right? But that's what it is, especially NASDAQ, guys. But one thing I did want to add as well is that, especially moving over to the 4th quarter and at the end of the year, guys, you have to be as patient as you have to be, especially with the setups, guys, because one thing for sure is that the markets aren't moving the same anymore, especially in this time of the year. So you as a trader need to understand that you need to be more disciplined and more stricter with your entry criteria, right? Now let's move over to gold. All right, so this is gold on the 4-hour time frame, as you guys can see. Let me just switch off this indicator so we can look at it at a much cleaner level, right? We can see that this thing is going higher and higher, and it's breaking highs, guys. This is what we want to see from gold. We can already tell, like, if you already caught buyers over here, you can imagine how much floating profits you'd be in, right? So now looking at it at its own, right, we can already see that price pushed all the way to the top, making this high, pushing all the way to the bottom, making this low. And I assume this was FOMC. I remember this spike up and down, it's just FOMC, and then price continued going higher and higher, right? One thing I can see is that gold did break this high over here. looking clean. That's a break of structure all the way to the top, right? So for me, it would make sense for me to look for more buying opportunities, especially for gold, because it's going higher and higher, guys. But for me, right, one thing I do want to wait for is for a confirmed high, right? And usually this indicator does help me spot out the highs, right? Obviously I could go over to the lower time frames like your 1 hour, and then you could see like the red mark. But when you do get that a red dot or that high confirmed as the indicator on the 4 hour time frame, it gives you much confidence knowing that prices already changed character on the lower time frames, and it makes the job easier so you don't have to play around the lower time frames, right? Once the high is confirmed, let's say this is the confirm, right? I'll pull out my Fibonacci retracement tool from here all the way to the top over here, and then I'll change this into gold, right, which I'll be executing off of the 50%, right? So now it's also very beautiful and very good because it looks like we'll be executing based off of like a support zone as well, right? It's looking really clean, so we'll patiently wait for gold. And for me, it matches a lot of my entry criteria. Price pushed all the way to the top, it broke structure, leaving an imbalance behind. There is a purge of liquidity over here, as you guys can see. Bingo bango, right? The FOMC really did help us take the liquidity from everywhere, from the top even at the bottom, and price is moving high and high, right? So for gold, this is on the 4 hour time frame. I am patiently waiting for it to come down just so nicely into the zone over here that we highlighted for the gold strategy. Once that happens, we will look into buying this all the way to the top, right? Even holding it potentially for long term, right? This is take profit 1, and then that's take profit 2. If you're trading a funded account, take profit 2 is like 1:5 risk to reward, guys. So it's clean cut finish for gold. Once that happens, we let it do its thing all the way to the top, hitting the take profit as we know, right? But that is gold. Like a lot of the indices and the commodities, as you already can see, like they are in a bullish run, right? But we do anticipate like some corrections throughout the week, hopefully. And I assume there's not a lot of fundamentals, so we can be really trading the markets as nicely as we want to, right? Let's move over to German 30 and I'll break it down. All right, so this is German 30 on the 4 hour time frame. With this one, we'll even go to the daily, right? Just so I can show you guys what I am seeing. So with German 30s, you already can see prices pushed all the way to the top over here. This was German 30s relatively all-time high. I'm like looking at the back, there's really nothing much, right? So you can already see here, this is just awesome back testing. We can already see that prices already came to this high and pushed all the way to the downside, and prices came all the way to the high again and pushed all the way to the downside, right? It literally closed above and then displaced all the way back down, right? So me looking at German 30 is making me really question it in terms of like where we are planning on taking this, right? So looking at it already, I can already see that, okay, cool, prices already came all the way to the top, taking that high and then pushed all the way to the bottom. We can see that there is a nice purge of liquidity over here. Money has been taken and it has moved all the way to the downside, right? Let me just do this X, right? And then remove this. Bingo bango. So now with German 30, we can already mark out that the liquidity has been taken, right? Clean cut finish, and we already know that the liquidity has been taken even from the daily time frame. Like from this high, we understood that liquidity has been taken a long time ago, right? And price did push. So for me, what I would genuinely like to see from German 30 is for it to break this low over here, right? As soon as that happens, I'll even mark out this, right? We have a high that is already confirmed. We just need this thing to break this low over here, right? And it needs to break it impulsively. So one thing that we can see is that German 30 breaking this impulsively, then we can find coming in, selling it all the way to the downside, right? Obviously this will be based off of how far it does go down, using the retracement tool and going to the indices strategy, bingo bango, and then we'll execute relatively over the zone over here, right? Hopefully what is this, German 30 does break this thing impulsively, guys, because if it does, for me it will give me that extra confirmation, letting me know that price does want to continue moving lower and lower at a high momentum, right? Because as we're looking at German 30 now, we can see that it did go down, but it wasn't as impulsive as would want it to be, right? And also this is a very special low, because let's say German 30 doesn't break it, let's say it just comes in over here, respects it, or better yet, it does this, right? It purges liquidity just a little and then it goes all the way to the top, right? The closure below or above this thing is very important for us to know if this thing, whether it wants to keep on going lower and lower, or it wants to keep on going high and high, right? So for me, hence why, like a lot of guys ask me, Mr. Flair, why do you only stay on the 4 hour time frame? The 4 hour time frame is less noisy, number one. The 4 hour time frame makes you make choices based off of the market structure rather than just seeing things that are happening on the lower time frames. Because even if I do go over the lower time frame, guys, like there are entries for sure, like you could enter and exit, but already you can see like it's a whole lot of choppiness, especially for your indices and stuff like that. For me, I just like to follow a more logical process, for especially for the funded accounts, because it's as easy as I execute based off of this level because I know that price will retrace to this level, right? Also, this is in addition with the ICT and SMC, fair value gaps, purchase liquidity, break of structure. Instead of looking for an order block, I enter off of a specific level or specific zone rather than order blocks, because I found that with order blocks it's quite different. Sometimes the trade can go to your direction but fails to tap you in, or it taps you in and then it goes a bit higher than your order block and then just keeps on going down, right? And it's not even a situation where it took liquidity. So now, the psychology tip of the week is discipline. Discipline is as important as patience, right? Because a lot of, like I've mentioned this on the Instagram thing as well, a lot of you guys do the right thing and you have the confidence to trade, but you're not disciplined. As soon as you start seeing the rewards and your benefits, you start scaling your trading too quickly. So from going for 0.1, getting consistent gains, now you see that you're confident, you're like, yeah, my strategy works. Then you use 0.0, like 0.10 lots, even 1 lots, I've seen, right? And then the confidence is good. It's a beautiful thing to see as a trader. Once you have it, you have it, right? But that's the time. The moment you start seeing results and the moment you start being confident in your trading is the time where you're supposed to be the most disciplined, because that's where you make the most irrational decisions, because you want to make more, you just want to make more. So the psychology tip of the week is discipline is as important as your patience and as your confidence, guys. So keep your head up. The video breakdowns aren't as long as they used to be, because there's not a lot of to talk about, especially in the charts, guys, and I'll keep on pushing this type of content week in, week out. I know a lot of you guys love it, so I'm gonna keep on doing it. But nonetheless, if you unsubscribe, please make sure to hit the subscribe button. It is yet another week, yet another dollar. See you guys next week.